Which mount in Guild Wars 2 is the fastest? It's the Roller Beetle. I think most people already knew that. But have you ever wondered how the other mounts compare to each other in terms of speed? Is the Raptor faster than the Warclaw? Is the Springer faster than the Skimmer? I personally don't know. If you're interested to find the answer to these questions, as I was, then stick around and I'll show you my findings, and I think they may surprise you. In order to test the speeds of all the different mounts, we're going to pit them against each other in a series of races. First a 250 meter sprint race, then a 500 meter medium length race, and then lastly a 1 kilometer endurance race, so we can find out which mount is the fastest at the different distances. We're going to the Zone Diesa Plateau to test the mounts because it has this long semi-straight path that approximately adds up to 1 kilometer that we can use to race the mounts on. I will teleport to this waypoint at the start of the path after every one of my attempts to ensure the same starting area for all the mounts. We will be doing 3 attempts each for every mount for every race, and then taking the fastest time out of those 3 attempts and comparing them. This is to eliminate the possibility of errors in the testing. The timer will start once we see movement on the minimap, and the timer will end once the player arrow on the minimap crosses over the map marking on the path. We're going to test both the speed of the mounts with their movement abilities and with just their walking speed, so we can see if anything changes in the results. The mounts are going to be given a score depending on how they placed after every race, so we can tally it up at the end to see which mount is the fastest overall. The way the scoring system works is that I give the mount in first place 9 points, and the mount in second place gets 8 points, third place gets 7 points, and so on. Now that we have that out of the way, let's get into the testing. First up is a 250 meter race with no ability use. The winner of the first one is the Roller Beetle with a time of 14.06 seconds, closely followed by the Warclaw with a time of 14.14 seconds. And in third place, more than a second slower than the Warclaw, is the Jackal with a time of 15.42 seconds. In last place is the Griffin with a glacial time of 19.16 seconds, barely being beat out by the Skyscale with an equally slow time of 19.08 seconds. The Siege Turtle did surprisingly well here, beating out both the flying mounts. But how will things look once we use the mount abilities? Let's find out. The winner of the 250 meter sprint race with abilities is the Roller Beetle once again with a time of 06.32 seconds. However, more interestingly, the Raptor had a big increase in its speed when allowed to use its abilities, bumping its position from 4th place in the last race all the way to 2nd place with a time of 11.02 seconds, closely followed by the Warclaw in 3rd place and the Jackal in 4th place. The flying mounts were able to crawl out of last place and surpass the Siege Turtle when allowed to fly. However, the Springer was not so lucky and actually got a worse time than in the previous race. When I tried to use its jumping ability, it came in dead last with a time of 23.04 seconds, being 6 seconds slower than itself in the last race, so I decided moving forward to not use the Springer's abilities in the testing. Now on to the 500 meter race with no abilities. The winner once again is the Roller Beetle with a time of 28.12 seconds, beating the Warclaw by a mere 0.44 seconds. It's worth noting the gradient of the path is slightly downhill in the beginning, so I believe if it was flat or even slightly uphill, the Warclaw would have been able to beat out the Roller Beetle in this race. Other than that, it's looking pretty similar in terms of standings compared to the 250 meter race with no abilities, so let's move on to the 500 meter race with abilities. Not surprisingly, the Roller Beetle wins this round too, with a very fast time of 12.34 seconds, nearly twice as fast as the runner-up, the Warclaw, with a time of 24.30 seconds. But the interesting part is how close the Raptor and the Warclaw are to each other in time. The Warclaw just barely beat out the Raptor with a 0.18 second time difference, shifting the tables from the 250 meter race with abilities. Maybe we'll see this speed difference be amplified over a longer distance. Next up is the 1 kilometer race with no abilities. Over the 1 kilometer distance, the Warclaw actually beat out the Roller Beetle with a time of 56.40 seconds, being a whole 3 seconds faster than the Roller Beetle. This could again be down to the shifting gradient of the land at the 1 kilometer distance, but these are the results I got. Other than that, it's looking pretty similar to the previous results, meaning I'm either doing something right or I'm getting very lucky with my testing. Now on to the last race of the video, the 1 kilometer race with abilities. The victor in the 1 kilometer endurance race with abilities is the Roller Beetle with a time of 23.34 seconds, 25 seconds faster than the second place Warclaw with a time of 48.44 seconds. The Raptor unfortunately was not able to catch up with the Warclaw here, getting a third place finish with a time of 49.16 seconds. Alright, that's all the races over. Let's take a look at the final score for all the mounts. The champion is the Roller Beetle with a final score of 53. In second place is the Warclaw with a score of 48, and in third place is the Raptor with a score of 40, just 1 point more than the Jackal in fourth place. In fifth place is the Skyskull with 21 points. In sixth place we have the Springer with a score of 20. In seventh place is the Skimmer with a score of 18. Second to last place is the Siege Turtle with a score of 16, and in last place is the Griffin with a score of 15. Coming into this test I had a couple of ideas for what the results might be. For one, I did not realize how fast the Siege Turtle is. I think it has something to do with the camera and the slow lumbering animations of the mount that made me think this way. I also did not know how sluggish the flying mounts are when you aren't flying. 90% of the time when you use these mounts you're usually flying and not just walking around on the ground, so I guess it makes sense. As for the Raptor versus the Warclaw, I thought the Raptor was actually going to be faster than the Warclaw over the long distance and the Warclaw to be faster over the short distance, but it actually turned out to be the other way around. I didn't think that the Jackal would be so slow. I was expecting it to beat out both the Warclaw and the Raptor mount over the short distance, but it wasn't able to. Anyways, let me know if this video has changed your mind of the different speeds of the mounts in the game, or if you think I could have done this test in a more scientific way. That's all, thanks for watching.